Hello everyone and welcome inside the Rogers Center for Game 3, the rubber match of this interleague series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, welcome to the Virtual Jays Network. My name is Jackson Farough. I'm joined in the broadcast booth today by Drew Frank. It's great to have you join us today. And listen, the Blue Jays, they dropped the first game of this series 4-1 on Monday night, but then yesterday they come back and win a close one 2-0, and now Matt Shoemaker goes for his second outing of the season.
Yesterday's 2-0 win, the big key for the Jays was that they were able to shut down the Reds' bats. And if they want to be able to do that again tonight, this man will be the key to it. Matt Shoemaker, a great start in his first appearance with the Jays against the Red Sox back on opening day weekends. He threw 7 1/3 of shutout ball. And if he can do that again tonight, the Jays will be well on their way to taking this rubber match and winning their second series of the year here against the Cincinnati Reds.
And we get started now as Matt Shoemaker drops that one in for a ball. And, defensively today, the Blue Jays look a little bit different. You got Brandon Drury at third once again, but you've got Guerrero Jr. back in the lineup DHing today, and that's one of the many differences. Gurriel Jr. is at short. Joe Panik leads off today and plays second, and Anthony Alford slides to center, and Derek Fisher in left, and we'll get to more of that a little bit later. But Mark Payton in here now with a 2-1 count, and he's leading off today. He was off yesterday, but he's hitting .286 on the year, and he also played center field in the first game of this series.
He got the night off yesterday against Farough. The lefty-lefty matchup wasn't one that David Bell liked, but he's back in again now with Shoemaker, the righty, on the mound.
And he takes that strike in the upper inside part of the play. It's a 2-2 count now. And here's the 2-2. That one swung and missed on there. Shoemaker gets a first strikeout of the game.
Nice pitch there, in on the hands of Payton. Tries to get down for that fastball, just misses it with the barrel, and Shoemaker quickly with a strikeout there to the leadoff hitter. A nice way to start his day.
And now he'll face the number 2 hitter, Jesse Winker, DHing today.
Just about the Jays defense, the biggest note here is that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is at short. He didn't play there at all in 2019 because the Jays had all sorts of different shortstop options that are now all out of the organization. One of them is actually here tonight wearing enemy colors in Freddie Galvis, but there was also other players like Eric Sogard who played some short, Richard Urania at different parts of the year played short, and even Breivik Valera, all gone out of the organization. So now Gurriel will go back to a position he played a little bit in 2018, making his first start short.
And he tries to make the play there, but that ball was going wild, bounces right over his head. So Jesse Winker, with the right-handed pitcher on the mound, gets the start at DH today, and he gets himself a base hit here.
Looked like that might have taken a funny hop off of the mound itself and just straight up over Gurriel. He was there for it, and yeah, nothing he can do. Just bounced straight up almost.
Yeah, that's baseball. That happens sometimes, but some luck and some skill involved there as Jesse Winker reaches. Now one away for Joey Votto, who is on a 5-game hitting streak to start this season. He's got 1 home run, and that home run came in Game 1 of this series, and it put the Reds up 3-0 on Monday night off of Shun Yamaguchi, and this will be his final his final game in Toronto, his real hometown this season, as the Reds and Jays are in different leagues, so interleague play doesn't happen too often as that one is fouled up into the seats.
And with the rotations where the different divisions play each other on different years, this will be the last chance Votto gets for a few years, and depending on how long he plays out his tenure with the Reds, might be his last chance at all in Toronto.
Hits that one over to Shaw at first, over to Panik at second for one, and back for the double play. Excellent defense there on the right side of the infield for the Jays. We head to the bottom of the first here in Toronto. And welcome back now as Trevor Bauer will make his second start of the season with the Reds here and looking to cause some damage here today.
Trevor Bauer, a very, very unique pitcher, has a great set of skills, a high draft pick, had a few strong years with the Cleveland Indians, highlighted by his 2018, where he led the entire American League in both home runs per 9 allowed and his fielding independent pitching numbers. But since then, he's had a tough 2019, went to the Reds, traded midseason, and it was almost a tale of two seasons with him, starting so strong with the Indians and falling right off a cliff with the Reds in the latter half.
Yeah, he was an all-star in that 2018 season, but the reason I say caused some damage, I mentioned that just as before he got started here, was because his stuff is so lethal as Panic just fouls that one down the first base line. But his stuff is lethal, and his warm-up routine is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, he can throw it across the entire field as that one drops in right in front of Castellanos and left. It's a base hit for Panic here to lead off the game for the Jays.
Bauer's got a very strong arm, as you mentioned. He can throw the fastball at 95, 96, 97, 98 even, but what's almost more impressive in this modern era of pitching is how many innings he throws, because he can throw, last season he threw well over 200 innings, but not even just the innings themselves, but game by game, he can throw up over 120, over 130 pitches if he's even feeling good. You just don't really see that very often in this modern era of pitching, and the fact that he does that is quite impressive.
He works very fast, too, as he deals that pitch inside to Gurriel Jr. 2-0 count, and Gurriel Jr., as we mentioned briefly, starting at shortstop today, his first start of the season there, and one of the reasons is because the organization lacks shortstop depth at the major league level, but Gurriel Jr. provides that kind of versatility as he takes that one, the first strike of the count here. Now a 2-1 count, but talk about the versatility maybe with Gurriel Jr., especially just something that keeps his bat in the lineup.
Well, usually you'll see him out in left field, but yeah, with no true secondary shortstop, Montoya said it's going to be starting at least for now on a rotational basis. So Gurriel gets the first chance here. We'll likely see Drury maybe get a few starts at short, and then probably one of Biggio or Panic, depending on how that situation goes. However, depending on how that situation goes at second. So we'll see Gurriel gets the first crack at the can here as Bichette takes his first day off of the season.
Here's the 2-2. Swung on and fouled off back into the seats. And now Bauer will look to possibly get his first strikeout of this game. 2-2 count now. Here's the pitch. Swung on over in the left field. That one will drop also in front of Castellanos. Now first and second, none out to start this game for the Blue Jays.
Quick start for the Jays. Usually in the number 2 hole, you'd see Cavan Biggio, but he's getting back-to-back days off, and Gurriel's making the best of it, moving up one spot in the lineup. Montoya said before the game that Biggio's not hurt, and there's no concerns there. They're just making sure he gets his rest in before the start of a long and rigorous season for all of these young guys.
Of course, it'll be the longest, season of their entire careers so far, and their young careers at that. And speaking of young careers, Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up to the plate. He had the day off yesterday, and he'll be DHing today, so no defense for him. As he swings on that one and fouls it off down past the third base line into the seats.
Guerrero with a hit in every game he's played so far, reaching base in each of those 5 games.
Good opportunity for him to drive in some runs now as he takes that one low and outside. It's a 2-1 count.
And even though Bauer played many years in the American League, a lot of these hitters are seeing him for the first time or maybe even just their second time because of how much turnover the Jays roster has had and how young all these guys are.
And that one's flying up to center field. Mark Payton has a read on it, gets underneath it, and he'll make the play. Runners are not able to tag on that one. And you mentioned the lineup turnover, and saw a funny stat that Anthony Alford is now the longest tenured Blue Jay. And he's hitting number 9 today, playing center field for them. But back in 2016, back when, the Indians and the Blue Jays had that very famous ALCS, that was kind of the beginning of his heyday, when he was able to get those deep playoff experiences on that really good Indians team. Ended up going to the World Series and losing. He actually pitched in Game 7 against the Cubs in the World Series.
He came in Game 7 after the damage was done. He managed to prevent further damage in that legendary Game 7, but yeah, crushing for anyone that was on that Indians team.
And that one's driven into deep left field, and Castellanos will watch it go into the seats. A 3-run shot for Teoscar Hernandez.
Well, speaking about crushing, that'll hurt even more. 3 runs right there from Teoscar Hernandez, and very quickly the Jays jump way out in front with an early lead. The first 2 batters reach base on little bloop singles that drop in front of the outfielders, and that one was not dropping in front of anybody. A laser right off the bat at Teoscar Hernandez, and he leaves the yard already with 3 home runs in this season.
Top of the lineup comes through and delivers exactly what you want from them. Panic with a leadoff single. Gurriel Jr. with a single. And then with first and second and 1 out, Teoscar Hernandez rips a fastball all the way out into the seats. At least it looked like a fastball. And that one was driven. Wow, that one got out of here quick, didn't it?
And he knew it right off the bat. You could tell that one wasn't going to stay in this park very long. And 3 runs very early in a series that's been pretty low scoring for the most part thus far.
Yeah, and Trevor Bauer in some real trouble here with just 1 out, 17 pitches already. He's got a lefty at the plate, and he's got 3 runs on the board for the other team.
We mentioned the struggles he's seen in the Reds uniform. In 2019, he was traded over midseason again, pitched to a 3.8 ERA with the Indians, which was much better than his career average, but he followed that up with a 6.4 ERA against the Reds, which was the worst of any qualified pitcher over that span.
And, he gets high strikeouts, but there could be some other issues. As Shaw drives that one over to deep left field, Castellanos giving chase, having to come out of the shift, and he makes the play. 2 away now.
Long way for Castellanos to go there, shifting Shaw to pull. So Shaw got under that one enough that it had the height that Castellanos was able to get there, but very impressive for him to track that one all the way down, ranging that far over into the corner.
And some impressive hitting there from Shaw as well, being able to spray that ball. And listen, if Castellanos wasn't as rangy as he is, you get a different left fielder out there. I mean, that could have definitely dropped in for another base hit, and Bauer could be in some even more trouble here. But back to Bauer, what do you think his issue is? Why he hasn't been able to replicate that 2018 season more often?
Well, what he was doing in 2018 was he led the entire American League with a 0.5 home runs per 9 rating. So what that means is that he was keeping the ball on the ground, and at the very least keeping the ball in the park in the American League, which is a very powerful league as a whole, and lots of intimidating lineups that he had to deal with. But the fact he was able to keep it in the park led to a lot of his success there.
Yeah, and some small ballparks as well, but nonetheless, I agree with you there, Drew. And again, his strikeout rate is good, right? Like in last year, he had a 10.7 strikeout per 9 rating. So, I mean, he gets swings and misses. His issue, I think a lot of ways, could be, a decently high whip as well as some maybe high walk numbers.
Yeah, his control isn't quite perfected because he has the stuff and he has insane spin rate, but controlling that is the issue.
And a swing and a miss there from Brandon Drury, so Bauer gets a strikeout to get out of the inning. But Teoscar Hernandez does some damage in the first. A 3-run shot. Blue Jays are up 3-0 as we head to the second in Toronto. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Virtual Jays Network. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank on this one. And as Eugenio Suarez steps into the box, he's 0 for 8 in this series. But, man, if you missed that last half of the inning, Teoscar Hernandez was able to drill a 3-run homer after the leadoff hitter Panic and the number 2 hitter Gurriel Jr. both reached on singles. And now, all of a sudden, Matt Shoemaker has some great run support here.
And that's been big for the Jays. They scored just 2 runs yesterday, and if you remember back to the first game of the series Monday night where they stranded 14 runners on base, only managed to get 1 across in the very last inning, this hasn't been a series where they've been able to produce consistently, and already just through 1 inning they've matched the run total they put up through the first 18.
And we talked about how they were leaving lots of runners on base in that first game. They left 14 on in a 4-1 loss, but not the case in this one, at least early on here. 2-1 count now to Suarez. That one swung on and fouled off over to the first base line. And I just mentioned briefly, Suarez 0 for 8 in this series. Now, he's has decently tough pitching matchups. I mean, Ryu yesterday is no easy task, as that one's driven to deep left field. And it looks like Fisher has a read on it. He sure does. And 1 away now. But what do you think Suarez's issue has been in this series so far? 0 for 9 now.
It could just be a sample size thing. You mentioned Ryu's no easy task, and he's a tough assignment for any hitter, even the top tier ones. Beyond that, you're looking at 1 or 2 games. He had a great series against the Cardinals, and I think it's just about time that he'll get back to his normal self.
And a brief look at the Blue Jays defense there as well. As we mentioned, Alford slides into center field today. And I think a lot of Blue Jays fans are comfortable with Alford in regards to defense. You know, center field, you're fine with that because he's an athlete, he's rangy, he's got a good arm. But in terms of his bat, still a bit of an unknown there.
And that's why you see him way down in the lineup, buried once again in the 9-hole tonight. So he'll have a few opportunities. Again, making the team at the camp was big for showing he might have some potential here with the club in the future, but he's going to have to show something.
And now Mike Moustakas at the plate with a 2-1 count. Shoemaker getting behind in some counts here, but we'll see if he can get back in this one. And that changeup offering is low below the zone, taken, and it's a 3-1 count now. Moustakas, obviously a very prolific power hitter, a lefty bat in this lineup today, and that one swung on and fouled off into the seats. It's a full count now to Moustakas, the number 5 hitter. Here's the full count pitch. Deals, and that one swung on and fouled off into the seats once again. Moustakas battling here with 1 away.
Yeah, nice battle. Moustakas has seen Shoemaker a bit before. 9 career at-bats with him, just 1 for 9 with a strikeout.
Swung on again, and that one's once again fouled off. Now, Moustakas, a 3-time All-Star, came over this offseason on a 4-year, $64 million deal to Cincinnati. He's spent time in Kansas City and Milwaukee, the Brewers, as he once again fouls that one off past the third base line.
Great battle, just staying alive here. Here's another payoff pitch.
And that one misses low and inside. Moustakas able to battle and grind himself out a 1-out walk here.
And after Moustakas reaching base there at the walk, it'll bring up Nick Castellanos, who was leading off in both of the first 2 games in this series, but gets bumped down here to the 6th hole now. So he's going to have a different opportunity. We saw him hit a couple doubles where he was able to get things going and lead off with extra bases, but now he'll be in more of a run driving in position after now being placed a little lower behind the heart of the order.
And he drills that one into deep right field. And Teoscar Hernandez gives chase, makes the play, and throws it back in quickly. Excellent defense there from Hernandez on that deep shot from Castellanos.
Castellanos, of course, in his first year with the Reds, we've mentioned a massive $64 million contract he signed for 4 years with them. So David Bell's still trying to figure out what he wants to do with Castellanos, moving him around a bit in the order, seeing where he likes him, seeing what matchups he likes, and how he's going to play with this team moving forward.
And now Freddie Galvis steps to the plate and takes a first pitch ball outside. In his last 4 games, he has 2 home runs, sure, but he hasn't looked great in this series so far. He's hitting a bit lower in the lineup, but he's played in all 3 games, and I guess that's something that certainly can give the Reds some confidence, is that they have a shortstop who can play almost every day for them.
And that's what he was known for. Before coming to the Jays, he actually had quite a streak going where he played 162 full games in both 2017 and 2018.
A 1-2 pitch now to the journeyman Galvis. Turns into a 2-2 count now. And, we talk about Galvis. Obviously, we've talked about it numerous times in this series. He started last season in Toronto, got waived, ended up in Cincinnati. He seems like a good fit there. He's the 2-2 pitch, swung on, fouled off into the seats. And Galvis, again, a guy who can give you some good production from the bottom of the lineup and some solid defense on a pretty cheap contract. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That one, check swing there, but it's in the zone anyways. A strikeout for Matt Shoemaker, who gets through this inning after surrendering a 1-out walk. It remains a 3-0 game as we head to the bottom of the 2nd on the virtual Jays Network. Welcome back to Toronto. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank on the call today. So it's a 3-0 Blue Jays lead. In the first inning, Teoscar Hernandez was able to drill a 3-run shot. And Jansen swings on that first pitch offering from Bauer, strike number 1. And that one's fouled off. Now an 0-2 count all of a sudden to Jansen. Hitting a bit lower in the lineup today. He's hitting 7th in the lineup, but a pretty good start to his season. He DH'd yesterday.
Well, one of the reasons he's probably back behind the plate today, he caught Shoemaker in his opening day game where he mentioned he was on and threw 7 shutout innings. So probably a connection there. He liked pitching to Jansen in the opener, and he's back again tonight.
That pitch swung on and fouled off past the third base line into the seats. Remains an 0-2 count. Bauer looking for another punch out here. Jansen trying to get something started for the Jays. Here's the pitch. That one swung on and fouled off this time. Back behind the plate into the seats. And once again, the 0-2. Here's Bauer. Deals working quickly here. That one's outside, and it gets Jansen swinging there. A leadoff strikeout, second of the game for Bauer.
Nice pitch by Bauer. He brings out the breaking ball. He's got a great curveball as part of a pretty complete repertoire. We mentioned the fastball that sits around 95, 96. He can also throw that curveball you see there that'll be in the high 70s, low 80s, as well as a cutter that'll break in on lefties like Fisher here, a slider, and a changeup that he's really spent a lot of time over the past couple seasons trying to improve there as a 5th pitch in his arsenal.
And Derek Fisher got the day off yesterday, but in the first game of this series, he had a walk, but other than that, went 0 for 3 on the day. As he swings on that one there and fouls it off, it's a 1-1 count now. Or 1-2 count, pardon me.
Working quickly ahead of Fisher, looking for his 3rd strikeout in a row.
Let's see if he can do it. Here's the pitch. That one swung on and fouled off. Fisher battling here.
And Tucker Barnhart behind the plate, calling his 2nd game of the series. He got the night off yesterday, but was behind the plate in game 1.
And Kirk Casale going at catcher yesterday. As that one is swung on and hit into center field. Peyton makes the play, but not before Derek Fisher slides into second on a 1-out double.
One of the skills that got Fisher a spot on this team is his speed. You can see that didn't find a gap or anything. It was just opposite to the way they were shifting him, and Peyton doesn't get the greatest jump on it. He's able to cut it off before it gets to the wall, but by the time he turns and fires, Fisher's speed carries him all the way into second, and now there's a runner in scoring position once again for Anthony Alford.
Yeah, and that ball really found a hole in center there as Peyton was shifted, being against the lefty, but also, man, he did not get a good jump on that, and it felt like he was very late getting to that one defensively. Nonetheless, Fisher with a double, and Alford with a chance to drive in a run with a runner in scoring position here.
Alford had the chance in yesterday's game where he came out with a runner on 3rd and 1 out, and he ended up striking out, unable to score the runner. So maybe looking to redeem himself here.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. That one swung on and fouled off. We see so much potential with Alford, and we talked about it yesterday when he was in the lineup. Like, he's huge. Look at him at the plate. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's rangy, he's got an arm, and he's got a vicious swing. He just hasn't quite connected at the plate yet.
Well, in his last at-bat, he connected for a double. At that point, the Jays were trying to look to tack on insurance runs, which was the lead they already had, and he's looking pretty much to do the same here.
Let's see if he can do it here with a runner in scoring position. Here's a 2-1 pitch. That one's taken inside. Excellent take from Alford there. A 3-1 count now.
Great eye, laying off the fastball in on the hands. That's not a pitch you can really do too much with, and Bauer was trying to induce a weak swing and jam Alford, but Alford resists.
Bauer up to 41 pitches now in the bottom of the second with just 1 out and a runner at second. Alford looking for something here. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That one swung on, fouled off, and the count will go full here. 3-2 now.
That fastball caught a lot of the plate, but because Bauer had such a high spin rate on that fastball, it can still be tough to pick up.
Here's the full count pitch. That one swung on and popped up into the infield. Votto gets underneath it, and he'll make the play. 2 out now.
So now as the lineup turns over, it'll be Panic that's promoted all the way to the top spot. He singled in his first at-bat. Didn't really get a chance to talk about him too much because he attacked Bauer early in that count and just laced one to the opposite field for a single.
Panic 2 for 4 in the first game of this series. And yesterday had a pretty good day as well. Went 1 for 3, and he drills that one over to third. Suarez makes the play, and the throw is in time. So Panic not able to drive home a run. Bauer gets out of a tough situation and remains 3-0 Blue Jays in Toronto. And welcome back to the Rogers Center as Tucker Barnhart, hitting number 8 today for the Reds, steps into the box. A little smile on his face as he engages in some conversation with the young catcher Danny Jansen. I'm sure some catcher banter going on at the plate there as Matt Shoemaker gets set for his third inning of work. Just 31 pitches and now 32 as he delivers that first pitch inside to Barnhart.
Nice take from Barnhart. Seems like so far tonight's strike zone is pretty close to getting those east and west calls right. Fastballs just on the other plate haven't been called too much as it seems to be more batter friendly thus far.
There's the 1-0. That one swung on and right at the middle. And it looks like Alfred has a read on it in the center. Gets over and makes the play. 1 away now.
Nice quick out there from Shoemaker. Had a couple deep counts in his work in the second, so a nice, easy out there to start things off. Gets his outing almost back on track after lots of battling against the Reds the last inning out here.
And when you have the 8-9-1 hitters, specifically Barnhart, Irvin, and Payton, these are not the premier hitters in this lineup. You need to make sure that you make some hay here, so to speak, in getting some quick outs when you have the chance to, if you're the pitcher today, as Shoemaker is.
Irvin bumped down to the 9 hole. He was up in the 7 spot in Game 1 against Thornton. Had the day off against Ryu yesterday, and now back in the lineup. Game 1, he went 1 for 3 with a single and 2 pop-outs.
And that one's grounded over to first base. Shaw there. Fields makes the play, and now there's 2 out as we take a look now at Mark Payton coming up in his second at-bat of the game. He struck out in the first.
I think it's impressive what Payton's done here to win a job at the camp, and not only that, become an important part in the lineup. We talked on and on about how stacked this Reds team is offensively, and for a guy that's never played in the majors before this season, at age 28, to now be their leadoff hitter and lead the charge of this offense, I think that's an impressive job by him and really shows what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, it's a really good story, right? And it's especially with the way he played last year in Las Vegas at AAA with the Oakland Athletics AAA affiliate. He hit 30 bombs, so some hitting potential there as he drives that one into deep right field. Hernandez giving chase on the warning track and makes the play. So 1-2-3 inning for Matt Shoemaker as we head now to the bottom of the third. 2-3-4 hitters up for the Blue Jays looking to extend their lead. And welcome back to Toronto on the virtual Jays network. It's the bottom of the third inning, 3-0 Blue Jays on a Teoscar Hernandez 3-run homer. And Lourdes Gurriel Jr. steps in. He's 1 for 1 on the day, one of the runs that scored on that homer.
Nice single. He just pulled it through the 5-6 hole into left field and able to reach base with a nice solid single against Bauer in the first.
As that 1-0 pitch gets right in there for a strike, a 1-1 count now as Bauer, he's approaching 50 pitches here just in the third inning, and not the best outing for him so far. What does he need to change to try to salvage this one?
Well, so far it's just been the one mistake. The Hernandez home run was a slider that was left up over the outer half of the plate and didn't get as far of the zone as he would have liked it. Maybe if he was able to locate that individual pitch, it would still be scoreless, but before that it was 2 soft singles, so it's not like he's getting hit around. That's just baseball sometimes.
Inside pitch fouled off there. It's a 2-2 count to Gurriel Jr. And yeah, I agree with you on that, Drew. Baseball has a way of humbling you at times and giving you some crazy fortune at times too. Here's the 2-2 pitch. That one swung on and fouled off. Another battle at the plate here.
We mentioned Bauer's career has kind of been all over the place. 2018, he had a 2.21 ERA, but other than that 1 year, all of his ERAs have been above 4.
And he gets a strikeout there as Gurriel swings on that low outside offering. The third strikeout of the day to get the leadoff hitter in this inning for the Blue Jays.
And perfect timing for my point, that's been the one consistency for him, has been the strikeouts. Right since his rookie season, he's been very effective with the strikeouts, generating those swings and misses. Up to 11.3 strikeouts per 9 back in 2018, but even in the years where he struggled a little bit more, he's been able to maintain double-digit strikeouts per 9, which for a starting pitcher like him is quite impressive.
And that's probably the main reason he's still in the majors, along with his durability as well. He can pitch a lot of innings, that's for sure, as you mentioned earlier, Drew. And a 2-0 count now to Guerrero Jr., who his last game, went 1 for 5 with a single. He flew out to center in the first, trying to get something going with one away here, and a hitter's count. And he drives that one foul. It's a 2-1 count now.
Well, he was the first out in the first inning, and the only guy at the top of the order that wasn't able to come around on the Hernandez round tripper, and still yet to extend that hit streak.
As that one's hit out into right field, Irvin there to make the play. 2 out now. And, Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a quiet start to this game. He's had a couple flyouts, but still a very dangerous hitter. DHing today. But Teoscar Hernandez, he's certainly not DHing. He's in right field, and he's the man who put the Blue Jays in front. 3-0 here. He had a 3-run shot in the first inning, and he drills that one into deep left, but this one will stay in the park this time as Castellanos there to make the play. So 3 up, 3 down for Bauer. Makes quick work of the 2-3-4 hitters as we head to the fourth in Toronto. And then the 26-year-old Jesse Winker DHing today as the starting pitcher is a right-hander. And, we know Drew mentioned it briefly in Game 1, but Winker splits. He certainly hits right-handed pitching very well. That's why he's in the lineup today.
Sure does. Benched against Ryu. I was actually thinking after Ryu came out, we might see him off the bench because the Jays brought in a string of righty relievers. As the Reds were looking for a comeback, he can provide value off the bench, which is especially valuable as they play most of their games in the National League and have a lot more pinch hitter opportunities.
And he gets ahead in the count now 2-1 as Shoemaker's pitch misses low there. He'll try to even up the count now. Here's a 2-1. That one swung on over to the third base side. Drury there in the shift makes the play and throws, and Shaw catches it for the first out of the fourth inning.
Solid play by Drury there. Had to go to his right there on otherwise a ball he'd be going to his left just because of how far shifted over he was. Almost playing in the traditional shortstop spot because of the drastic pull splits that that Winker has there, but he retires him nonetheless.
And Votto grounds that one over to second. Panic is there to make the routine play. All of a sudden, 2 quick outs in this one for Shoemaker.
Still just at 44 pitches, bouncing back nicely after quite a few pitches in the first couple innings, now becoming a lot more efficient as he works through the second time through the order.
Eugenio Suarez 0 for 1 in this one, 0 for 9 in the series, doesn't have a hit yet. And he'll try to get one now. He's hitting number 4. He hit 49 home runs last year, so he's a real threat, and they're shifting pretty hard on him, aren't they?
Yeah, 3 straight batters and 3 straight shifts. The Reds are, as we mentioned, hitters that everyone's studied up on quite a bit just because of the profiles that they carry, and as a result, you're going to see quite a few shifts from Charlie Montoyo's infielders today.
And a 2-0 count now to Suarez, a hitter's count. See if he can get anything here. Here's the pitch. That one's grounded over, and it'll get through the hole between Gurriel and Panic there. It'll get into left center field, and as a 2-out single for Eugenio Suarez, his first base hit of the series.
And you hit it right into the shift, but he beats it nonetheless. Finds that tiny hole between the two infielders, partially because he hit that one so hard. It wasn't on the ground for too long before it found some grass. But a nice piece of hitting to go down and get that ball, and a great approach as now he's a runner on base with the powerful Moustakas at the plate.
Yeah, Moustakas took a walk in the second inning, grounds that one right up the middle, and that single will go through into center field for a base hit. 2 on, 2 out now for the Reds in the fourth.
Similar to how we said Bauer got burned in the first inning where two guys got on base with soft contact, neither of them really beating Shoemaker per se, as with that one especially, just a bit of a ground ball that finds a hole. So now he's in trouble with Nick Castellanos. We've talked about the danger he presents with 2 on and 2 out.
Yeah, and Castellanos 0 for 1 on the day, a fly on the second, but he's had a good start to the year. He's 6 for 20. Hit a couple doubles in the opener where he was leading off. He's moved down the lineup today, but part of this, power lineup that the Reds have been able to create. And that one, they're saying that's going to be a strike, so it's a 1-1 count. But 0 for 4 yesterday for Castellanos. I guess that's why he's dropped a bit lower in the lineup. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Shoemaker trying to escape this inning. That one's drilled in the right field. Hernandez has a read on it, and he makes the play. Excellent job there from Hernandez. What a game he's having so far as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Blue Jays up 3-0. Welcome back to Toronto on the virtual Jays Network. It's a 3-0 ball game off of a first inning Teoscar Hernandez 3-run home run. Those are the only runs we've seen so far. Both pitchers running into some difficulty, more so Bauer for the Reds than Shoemaker for the Blue Jays. But last inning, it was a 3-up, 3-down as Gurriel, Guerrero, and Hernandez were all retired in a row. And now Bauer will try to continue potentially this little groove he's got going against Travis Shaw, the 5-hitter for the Blue Jays today.
And since that first inning, he's really locked in.
And that one's flown out into center field. Peyton has a read on it, and it makes the play 1 away now.
After that first inning, he's just allowed 1 hit. It was the Fisher double that found a hole in the shift as they were playing Fisher the pull. But aside from that, he's retired the last 9 batters straight.
Yeah, I'm really starting to settle in here potentially. Up to 57 pitches now. As Brandon Drury steps into the box. He's 7 for 22 on the year. Struck out in the first. And playing third today with Vlad Guerrero Jr. DHing.
And Bauer here is looking for his second win of the season. He beat the Cardinals in the Reds home opener back in the first game of the season where he put up 7 innings of 1-run ball. But the big takeaway, 6 walks and 10 strikeouts. So a very 3 true outcomes type outing for him. Lots of base runners, 6 walks, more than the 5 hits he gave up, but he strikes out 10 as he managed to get out of almost all the messes he creates for himself. And as we mentioned, gives up just the 1 run in that win.
Yeah, wow. 6 walks and 10 strikeouts. Goodness me, that's a lot of volatility at the plate for sure. That'd be a good one to call. A 3-0 count now as he tries to avoid dealing a walk to Brandon Drury. He fouls that one off into the seats.
Well, he hasn't yet.
A 3-1 count
After
now.
the 3 hits that all came around to score in the first inning, just the double and no other runners have reached base.
And that'll change now as there's a 1-out walk to Brandon Drury as Bauer misses his spot there outside.
And that's the first for him at today. So already 7 on the season in just 10 innings pitched. And again, obviously not sustainable. A small sample size, but potentially signs that something's not quite right with him coming back from spring training.
Yeah, and there's a whiff on that one as Jansen swings and misses on that first pitch outside offering from Bauer there, an 0-1 count. And this time it's swung on and fouled off past the first base side. All of a sudden, Jansen behind now, 0-2. Jansen trying to keep this inning alive for the Blue Jays. Here's the pitch. That one's outside taken this time. Jansen doesn't fall for it. So it's a 1-2 count. And here's the pitch for Bauer, looking for another strikeout. Doesn't get it as it goes up the middle. A base hit for Danny Jansen. First and second now. 1-0. Oh, and Peyton misses it in the outfield. He'll throw it back in, but not before the runners advance. So Mark Peyton with a blunder in center field allows the runners to advance on that one.
And tough break for Bauer. He got what he probably thought off the bat was going to be the inning-ending double play ground ball he was trying to induce, but it finds a gap up the middle as Moustakas can't reach it, and then even further, the double play isn't even in order anymore as both runners are now in scoring position with the error from the center fielder. So just a tough break for Bauer and the Reds, and now the Jays are poised to add on with Fisher at the plate.
Yeah, Fisher 1-for-1 on the day. He had a double, and he's a lefty at the plate. A good matchup. As that one's outside, check swing. Did he go? No, he didn't. It's a hitter's count now. Bauer really in some trouble here, reeling as he takes a second to settle himself down. But, yeah, poor play there in the outfield from Payton. Now, Drury at third, Jansen at second, Fisher with a chance to get some RBI here and extend this lead as that one gets in there for a strike. Good pitch there as Wade Miley gets warm in the pen.
Wade Miley, a guy that's started quite a few games. If he's up already, that's because David Bell's not sure how long Bauer's going to be in this game. Bauer will not love to hear that, but Miley can come in the pen and give 2, 3, or 4 innings here.
As that one just misses outside, it's a 3-1 count now as Derek Fisher tries to work Bauer for an on-base appearance, and that pitch gets right in the bottom part of the zone. Barnhart encouraging Bauer there. Now it's a full count to Fisher, the number 8 hitter. Here's the payoff pitch. That one swung and missed there. Excellent pitch from Bauer. Gets a strikeout. 2 out now.
Beautiful pitch and a very important strikeout. If Fisher would have left that was down below the knees, would have been ball 4, but Bauer fools him, gets him to chase it, and now 2 away with the 9-hitter. Great pitch there by Bauer. Can swing this whole inning if he can escape it now.
And he's got Alfred at the plate. Alfred had a chance to, with a runner in scoring position his last time up, but he popped up to first base. Let's see if he can maybe get something going here. It's a 1-0 count now as he swings on that one down the left field side. It's a base hit, and that'll be a couple RBIs for Anthony Alford as he rounds first and heads to second. So a 2 RBI double with 2 out for Anthony Alford.
Third time's the charm for Anthony Alford. Mentioned yesterday he couldn't come through with the runner on third. Didn't do anything earlier this game with the runner in scoring position, but now he gets his chance and he hits it down the line. A stand-up double for Alford as 2 runs coming to score, and he chases the ace Trevor Bauer out of this game in only the 4th inning.
Yeah, so not a great outing for Bauer. And now Wade Miley will come in to make his second appearance of the season. The lefty looking to try to, get through the middle part of this game and get to the back end so the bullpen can take things from there. But, yeah, wow, what a hit from Anthony Alford as well.
Very big hit for someone that may not see too many games. He doesn't have consistent playing time laid out in front of him, and he has to make Montoyo put him in the lineup, and doing things like that is going to be exactly what he's got to do to try and force the issue of getting him playing time. And
we're seeing the bottom of the lineup do some damage here, right? I mean, Drury gets a walk to, with 1 away, and then Jansen gets on an error in center, but all of a sudden you've got second and third. Fisher strikes out, but then Alfred, the number 9 hitter, gets the 2 RBI double to put the Jays in front now 5-0. As Panic swings on that one. That one's over around the foul line, and the third baseman Suarez there to make the play. So 3 outs. Miley gets out of this inning, but not before a couple runs allowed by Bauer. It's a 5-0 ball game as we head to the 5th in Toronto. And welcome back to Blue Jays baseball here. The 5-1 Jays against the Reds, who won on Monday, lost yesterday. So this is the rubber match, and it's not going too good for them so far. It's a 5-0 ball game as the Jays have been able to really generate some offense. Teoscar Hernandez with a 3-run shot in the first inning, put them up 3-0. And then in the prior half inning, if you just missed it, Anthony Alford, the number 9 hitter, playing center field for the Blue Jays today with a 2 RBI double, and it's a 5-0 ball game as Galvis swings and misses on that Shoemaker offering there.
And that double chased Bauer from the game. He only managed to get through 3 2/3, giving up 7 hits, walking an extra batter, and being charged with all 5 runs you see on the scoreboard.
His stuff looked okay. He was getting some swing and miss, but I think the issue was just command today. As Galvis swings past that off-speed offering from Shoemaker, evens up the count at 2 here.
Shoemaker's been cruising lately. A little bit of trouble letting 2 batters on last inning as he allowed the base runners to Suarez and Moustakas. 2 tough guys to keep off the bases as it is, but now he's got a chance to log back in here with 7-8-9.
That one's it over the first base side. Shaw stops it, but is unable to field it cleanly. Tries to throw to first, and he gets him. Wow. Second chance play from Shaw there, able to make up for a little bit of a blunder, but gets the out nonetheless.
That's why the fundamentals are always preached of keeping the ball in front of you on the infield. Isn't able to field it cleanly. That ball hit hard to his right. It's bouncing on him. He just stops it and is able to get over there and stay with it. Then the persistence rewards them with a first out here.
Yeah, and Shaw, so he tries to field it. It goes off his glove, and then it pops over. He's able to hit Shoemaker at first nonetheless for the out, and now that one is flown out to center field by Barnhart, the 8-hitter, and Alfred makes the play. 2 away now.
Quick inning so far. He's only 2/3 of the way there to clearing out this 5th frame as well, but as mentioned, Shoemaker, after who knew what to expect this season, decimated by injury last season and the season before that, 2020 is looking good for Shoemaker thus far.
And I'd make the argument, Drew, I think 2019 was looking pretty good for Shoemaker as well, but he just got injured. He had a freak injury, tore his ACL, and that was it for him for the rest of the season. But I think his spot in this rotation is tons of importance beyond his work on the diamond, as that one is grounded over to short. And Gurriel makes the play to first, a close call there, but 3 up, 3 down for Matt Shoemaker, who is able to get through 5, looking good, 5-0 ball game here in Toronto. And now Lourdes Gurriel Jr. steps up to the plate, and his first start at shortstop this season for the Blue Jays. He's played primarily left field to start the season.
And he capped off last inning with a nice throw there, caught the runner just in time, but so far he's been fine out there. He hasn't had too much action, but what he's had, he's handled perfectly, and Montoyo, he's not looking for someone that's going to go out there and steal Bo Bichette's job at shortstop. He just needs someone that he can give Bichette some days off and he can trust out there at shortstop.
And versatility can keep you in the big leagues as he hits that one over the glove of the second baseman. Mustak is there into right field for a base hit. So a leadoff hit in the 5th inning for Gurriel Jr.
And Miley's back out here. He's only coming into this game. He'd only faced one batter all season, so he's fully charged here. His arm is fresh and ready to go. And as mentioned, unless they can tie this game up and make this close enough that they'll bring in their high-end relievers, the Reds can probably expect to see Miley here going for a few innings as they wait for their bats to wake up here.
Wade Miley, a journeyman in the majors now, and primarily a starter in his career. He's spent time in Seattle and Baltimore, and he's been around the American League. As that one is driven by Gurriel Jr. into deep right center field. Not that deep. Peyton's able to get it and make the play. 1 away with 1 on now.
Well, this is the first year that he's starting the season out of the pen. He's made a few relief appearances in his career, especially made a few in playoffs with various teams. As you mentioned, he's been all over the league playing for 6 different teams in both circuits, but this is going to be a new season for him. As we mentioned, David Bell's getting very creative with his bullpen, putting Miley in there and moving Iglesias around and giving Strope the closer job, and he's doing all sorts of different things in there, and we'll see how that ends up going for them in 2020.
And a 1-0 count to Hernandez, who hit a 3-run shot in the first to put the Blue Jays out in front. Flew out to left in the 3rd with kind of a pretty similar looking swing to the home run ball, but that one's stayed in the park in the 3rd. It's a 1-1 count as he swings on that one and make it a 1-2 count. Miley ahead here.
And talking about his defense, he made a nice catch there an inning and a half ago to end an inning on the ball that was dropping away from him. Reached down and got it. A great play there.
Yeah, behind every good start is some good defense. Shoemaker will be the first to tell you that today. Teoscar Hernandez in a 2-2 count now. Looking to add to his strong start to the season here with 1 away and 1 on. As that 2-2 pitch misses inside, it's a full count now.
Great battle here, making Miley work early. A new look out of the pen, quite a different repertoire than Bauer had to offer, so it's important to really see all his pitches and see what he's offering to know what you're going to have coming to you.
Here's the payoff pitch. That one's fouled off past the first base line. Teoscar Hernandez, very interesting case study. We've talked about him at length this season. He came over from Houston and along with Nori Aoki in exchange for Francisco Liriano from Houston in 2017. And he takes a walk there. First and second now with one on.
Well, that'll push Gurriel up into scoring position. And Shaw, once again, is going to come up with some runners on here and a chance to do something. He had a huge home run yesterday. He hit his 100th career home run. Ended up being the only run scored that whole game as the two-run shot won it for them 2-0. And here he's got some chance to do some more damage as a bit of speed on the base. As both Gurriel and Teoscar Hernandez, you don't talk about it very often, but they can both run a little bit.
Well, they sure can. And now Travis Shaw with a chance here to potentially drive them in. An 0-2 count. Miley trying to navigate through this fifth inning here, which has been a little bit turbulent now. Miley looking for a strikeout or something here. He's got a good count. Here's the 0-2. That one swung on over past the first baseman, Votto. That is fair. Irvin goes to field it in the corner, throws home, but a run will score. Wow, and Hernandez over to third. A run scores. Travis Shaw with an RBI single in the fifth inning.
Gurriel scoring all the way from second. That's his second run of the day, scored earlier on the home run from Teoscar Hernandez. He's 2 for 3, 2 runs scored, and one of the reasons that they want to see if they can make it work with him at shortstop is because his bat is great. You don't have to worry about calling up someone, an unproven bat, and worrying about, okay, well, if we put, let's say, Santiago Espinal, for example, there, how is he going to do? Can he hit? Can he hang in the majors? If you can get Gurriel in there, then that's a bat you know is going to do some damage in Major League games, and he's done so far here today.
Yeah, Gurriel looking great to start the season, and especially in this game. 2 for 3 with a couple singles and a couple runs scored as well. 1-1 count out of Brandon Drury as he fouls that one off into the screen. A 1-2 count. So Miley also struggling here today for the Reds.
This is his first real chance this season, so he could still be working off some of that off-season rust, but yeah, the great strikeout there makes him chase at that pitch breaking down in the zone.
Yeah, Drury with the strikeout there. That is his second of the game. He's going to walk in this one as well.
Just when we talk about his struggles so far, eh?
Of course, that's always how it works, isn't it?
Well, a great way to battle back there is after getting Drury, things hopefully might settle down a little bit for him as he's just 1 out away from escaping the frame.
And now Danny Jansen catching today. He's got a single and scored a run. And his single was actually the hit that Mark Payton had some issues with in center field, where he was trying to field it, dropped it, the ball got past him, and Jansen was able to advance to second. And Alfred was able to drive Jansen home earlier in that inning, but Jansen grounds out to Votto in this one, and that'll retire him. And Miley gets through the inning, allows 1 run, and it's a 6-0 ball game through 5 here in Toronto. And welcome back to Toronto on the Virtual Jays Network. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Fank. We appreciate you joining us today. As we get now towards the later stages of the game, top 6, Matt Shoemaker still in this one. He's had a great day so far pitching, and Mark Payton 0 for 2. Not the greatest day for him. He had an error earlier on in the game in the 4th inning that cost the Reds potentially a couple runs, but the pitching hasn't been great for the Reds, but different story for the Blue Jays here.
Well, and the bats for the Jays came alive after being stifled earlier in the series. We mentioned a couple times, Monday, all they did was strand runners on base. Today, it's been the opposite. They've had them on and have brought them in.
And a 1-2 count now. As Payton drills that one past the second baseman Panic, it'll get down for a base hit. And Hernandez with some trouble in right, but he's able to recover quickly. So Payton has to stay at first, but a leadoff single for him today.
And a nice stroke by Payton lines that one over into the gap between the first and second baseman. Panic, as you mentioned, almost reached out and got it. The former Gold Glove winner, Panic, making a great effort on that one, but a nice hit by Payton as he gets some good wood on that one.
And Winker swings and misses on that first pitch, offering a 0-1 count now to the number 2 hitter, DHing today. And yeah, Payton, I mean, Hitting leadoff and you get a single like that to start the inning, that's exactly what your manager wants, and it'll get you some brownie points for sure. As that one's hit over to second, Panic this time able to make the play, goes to second, or goes to short rather, and Gurriel throws to first for the double play. Excellent job. A 4-6-3 double play.
A beautiful double play. When Panic turned to go to second, I thought they might not get anybody out because it was close and they barely got him at second. But not only that, Gurriel with the strong outfielder's arm turns that ball perfectly at second base and fires a cannon to just get Winker. So a great display of middle infielding there, as not only do they get an out, they turn two and erase both base runners at once here with the twin killer.
Yeah, very important there, especially with the power bats coming up to the plate with Votto, Suarez, Moustakas, and Castellanos coming up. But first it's Votto as he fouls that one over, and it'll get into the seats. And, you talk about good defense up the middle there. That was excellent. Panic, I didn't think that play was going to work out either. Had me a little twisted there, but excellent job by Gurriel, too. I think that was underrated there. His throw was on the money, and he's not normally a shortstop, but again, if he can give you that kind of defense on a regular basis, potentially some decisions to be made in terms of how often Gurriel can get in this lineup and how good he truly is defensively, because plays like that will certainly help. 1-2 count out of Votto. Shoemaker one pitch away from getting through this one as he misses high and away there.
And Shoemaker really settled down after allowing the base runner on that solid piece of contact. The double play is going to do wonders for him here, as now when he's negotiating through the middle part of the order, he doesn't have to worry about base runners. He can come straight from the windup and do what he wants against Votto.
Votto drills that one into shallow right field, but Hernandez gets there and makes the play. 3 out now. Technically 3 up, 3 down, as Shoemaker able to get through 3 batters pretty quickly here after some help from a double play here in Toronto. And welcome back. A 6-0 ball game here as Wade Miley works into the 6th inning. He's up past 20 pitches and his second relief outing of the season, and he'll try to get through a clean inning here as he's got Fisher, Alford, and Panic up, the 8-9 one-hitters for the Blue Jays. First pitch ball to Fisher. Here's the 1-0, and that one's inside. It's a hitter's count now.
And Fisher expanded the zone against Bauer in his last at-bat. He was the last out that Bauer managed to get. He struck out on a low pitch that was below the knees in the full count, chased it, and what otherwise would have gotten him on base and potentially scored.
He swings and misses on that low offering there. A 2-1 count now. Miley getting back into the count. Here's the pitch. That one, a swing and a miss there. Fisher with a pretty vicious swing. It'll look good, but Miley's pitch outside gets him. A 2-2 count now, and there's the strikeout on a very similar pitch. Back-to-back whiffs there as Miley gets a strikeout to start things in the 6th here.
Great work by Miley to go back-to-back with the cutter on the outside half of the plate. Usually the cutter's a pitch you see where you attack hitters of the opposite handedness, trying to jam them inside, but instead uses it against Fisher here, lefty on lefty, as he's expanding the zone, taking him on a pitch that looks like it's over the heart of the plate and just cuts away to the outside corner. Very effective and generates 2 straight whiffs.
And now Anthony Alford looking to avoid that kind of fate as he is on a 1-0 count to Miley here with 1 away. He hit a double in his last appearance in the 4th, got him a couple RBI to start this season, and he's playing center field today. He's looked pretty good in the defensive alignment for the Blue Jays, and he's looked good at the plate today too. Here's count now. He drives that one past the third base line. Foul, 2-1 count now.
And Miley thus far, he struggled a little bit, but he has looked pretty good. He's coming off a season with Houston where he went 14-6. He had an ERA just below 4, but largely that record comes because he was playing behind the powerhouse offense of the Houston Astros. But nonetheless, to have an ERA below 4 starting a full season and then becoming a bullpen piece the very next season, it must be a pretty jarring difference, especially now that he's getting mop-up assignment.
And there's a strike as Alford swings on that inside offering. That was in the zone, but Alford just misses it there. Here's the payoff pitch. And that one's foul past the third base line. Alford being able to have a bit of a battle here with Miley.
Yeah, he's making him work here. already through 34 pitches just in his second full inning of work.
As Alfred grounds that one down the third base line, Suarez fields, and he'll make the play. Excellent defense from Eugenio Suarez. 2 away now.
Great play by Suarez. That ball was not hit hard at all, and Alfred's got a lot of speed. So that was almost like playing bunt, trying to bunt for a hit, how that one rolled up the line. Suarez makes a great play, gets it to first in time, and beats Alfred by a step.
And now here's Joe Panik, the leadoff hitter for the Blue Jays today. And he was signed to a minor league deal in the offseason, came up, and he's making around $2.8 million, as I mentioned. 1 for 3 on the day, and a 1-1 count now as he tries to get something going for the Jays with 2 out and none on. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That one's outside and low, so it'll go to a 2-1 count. Malley into the windup. Here's the pitch. That one's in there for a strike. Evens up the count at 2.
And we've got finals from the 2 other games going on in the American League East. Boston knocked off Baltimore 3-2.
As that one's falling out into center field. And Peyton's there to make the play. We'll get more updates when we come back here on the Virtual Jays Network as we head to the 7th inning. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. 6-0 ball game here on the Virtual Jays Network as the Jays have really been able to generate some serious offense today off of, they booted starter Trevor Bauer early, and, this is important as the American League East is no walk in the park, that's for sure, right, Drew?
Well, and there's been all sorts of interesting results. As we didn't expect Boston to lose all 4 games in Toronto, and the division's looking like if Toronto can keep this up, they might be able to make some noise. Boston did bounce back, though. They won the series against Baltimore today, knocking them off 4-3 to take 2 of the 3. And New York fell to Tampa Bay winning it 2-0 at home in the Trop. And New York is a team that the Jays are going to be watching closely because they'll face them tomorrow. It's part of the reason why we're playing today at 4 o'clock, a little bit earlier, because it's getaway day for both teams, as both the Reds and the Jays head out to different places to play for a couple home openers. Both of them start the season at home, and the Reds will visit the Pirates at PNC Park for their home opener, and of course, as mentioned, Toronto heads to the Bronx tomorrow.
As that one's grounded right up the middle, Panik there in the shift, makes the play. And, first road trip of the season for the Blue Jays coming up to New York. Are you kidding me? And, man, when they got the schedule, they must have loved that for a young team to get to have a nice bonding experience heading to New York. Now, a lot of these guys have been there, of course, last season, but still, that must be a fun road trip.
And it's always fun to be at a couple home openers. Of course, you always get your own, but to be at a couple and hear the other team's PA announce your name and stroll out onto the field and even just feel the atmosphere of tens of thousands of fans excited for another season of baseball, it's a great moment.
Well, especially at Yankee Stadium, right? Now, it is new Yankee Stadium, not quite as much history there, and we'll have lots of Yankees talk over the next couple days, but all the history there. I mean, Yankees opening day is a very special phenomenon in sports, and the Jays will get to experience that tomorrow. A 1-2 count now to Mike Moustakas. He's 1 for 1 with a walk on the day at a single in the 4th, and he tries to generate something here for the Reds as they try to salvage this one. And that pitch missing outside. It's a full count. Shoemaker working into the 7th inning here.
2 straight full counts as a pair of veteran hitters, Suarez and Moustakas, battling now against Shoemaker. They've seen him before and they know what to expect. Now in their 3rd appearances each, 2 full counts, and there'll be another payoff pitch here for Shoemaker as he comes set.
Full count, 1 out. Here's the pitch. And that one's fouled off over into the left field area, but it goes into the seats. It's a full count still to Moustakas, who he's kind of been battling all series long and giving pitchers headaches, and another foul ball there.
And just one final note on that Yankees series for our scheduling purposes. Friday's an off day, so there'll be a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday series. Be sure to come back here tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and so a day off after one game for the Blue Jays as that one goes in the left field. Fisher tracking out of the shift and makes the play. 2 away now to start this inning for Shoemaker, who's only at 85 pitches, I may add.
We mentioned briefly how rangy this Jays outfield is. Fisher's got some speed out there and left. He showed it off with a double earlier today. Also doubling earlier today, Anthony Alford in center, known for his speed. And Teoscar Hernandez is kind of sneaky fast. People don't really talk about it too much, but he can run pretty decently himself. And the guy on the bench today, Randall Grichuk, also a premier defender. So for this pitching staff that, as we mentioned a few times, is quite volatile, it's a great asset to have them out there.
You're right about that, and especially for the starting pitcher, you always want a rangy outfield, and especially in some of these AL East ballparks, right? Like you go to Fenway, you need rangy outfielders, especially in that huge right field area. A 1-1 count now. That one misses inside. It's a 2-1 count to Castellanos, who is 0 for 2 on the day, a couple flyouts to right, but Drew, Matt Shoemaker is looking phenomenal, and Blue Jays fans, I mean, they're going to be pretty riled up if Shoemaker can keep this going here. As that one's fouled off past the right field side.
Shoemaker, not the ace this year. It's Hyunjin Ryu, the big addition. But if Shoemaker's your number 2 and he can show flashes of dominance like that, that is a great asset to add to your team when Jays fans probably weren't counting on him for too much this year. Of course, missing both the last 2 seasons. Great amount of games in both because of injuries. Great bounce back so far.
And that full count offering is fouled off into the seats. Castellanos battling here, and Shoemaker's done a really good job at navigating through this heavy lineup. You know, like Votto's 0 for 3 on the day. Suarez, he's had a single, but he's been pretty quiet. Oh, and Castellanos drives that one into deep left field, but Fisher is there to make the play. Shoemaker threw 7 strong here in Toronto. He's looked magnificent. What a find for the Jays as we stretch on the virtual Jays Network. And welcome back to Toronto. Bottom of the 7th inning now. It's a 6-0 ball game as Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 2 for 3 on the day with a couple singles, steps in and tries to, maybe tack on a couple extra runs.
Gurriel now leading off the inning from his 3rd straight time at bat. Panic is above him in the lineup, but only 1 for 4. He singled in the first, but in Panic's last 3 at-bats, he ended all 3 innings he was in. So Gurriel trying to set the table again, as he did successfully last time, where he led off with a single in the 5th and came around to score.
And he's got a nice count now. It's 3-0 to start this inning. As you mentioned, he led off the last inning and did a good job of it. And now that one's hit into right field, and that one will get down. That'll touch some green. And that one will go off the wall as Peyton fields it, but not before Gurriel Jr. gets himself a lead-off double. What a day for this guy.
3 for 4 when he's had to deal with the mental gymnastics of adjusting to a new position. We mentioned didn't play shortstop for a single inning in 2019. Here he's done it all game so far and hasn't affected him at the plate at all as he chases Miley from the game.
And now Lucas Sims will come in to this one, making his 4th appearance of the season.
Sims appeared earlier in this series. We saw him pick up 2 outs back in Game 6 of the Jays season yesterday, where he came in relief of Tyler Mahle, got out of the inning, only faced 2 batters, got them both out. He's going to work with a sinker-slider combo, relying on that sinker a lot.
And that one is grounded over into right field, as Guerrero Jr. is able to get himself a single, and Gurriel advances to 3rd, and a couple juniors on the base paths now for the Blue Jays.
And with runners on the corners, it's going to be Teoscar Hernandez coming up to the plate. He had that big home run in the first to really start things off with the Jays, and they've only added from there. Cincinnati flew out and walked, so 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored and 3 RBIs already for him.
First hit of the day for Vlad Guerrero Jr. off of the new entrant to the game, Lucas Sims, who on his first pitch allows a single. So now 1st and 3rd, none out. Great opportunity for Hernandez to add to what has already been a great game. And Guerrero Jr. was able to use the whole field there. Excellent job spraying the ball to right past the former Gold Glover Votto, as Hernandez now at the plate in an 0-2 count. And as I mentioned, he'll be trying to add to an already great game. He hit a 3-run home run in the 1st and a walk in the 5th. So he's 1 for 2, and he swings and misses on that one. Sims gets a much-needed strikeout. 1 away now.
With the strikeout there, they'll bring up Shaw. And after Shaw, it's Drury and Jansen. We mentioned yesterday Lucas Sims only faced 2 batters. The 2 batters he faced were Drury and Jansen. So if Shaw can avoid the double play here, the next guys coming up have already gotten a look at Sims from yesterday, and will try and do something based on what they picked up yesterday.
And a single and an RBI in his last appearance, Shaw that is. 1 for 3 on the day. And he's got an opportunity to tack on a couple extra RBIs. He's got a good matchup as well against a righty. Takes inside there for a 1-1 count.
Shaw's single came against Wade Miley back in the last inning. 2 innings ago in his last plate appearance, where he just drilled one down the line. First baseline, he pulled it.
And a very effective pull hitter, Shaw is, as he tries to pull one there, but he pulls it foul. 1-2 count now.
Just about the same spot, grounded right along the first base line, but as you mentioned, that one just a few feet foul.
Sims trying to escape this inning. Double play still in effect, and another strikeout for Sims there as Shaw swings and misses on that high inside offering.
A pair of nice back-to-back strikeouts. After the single to Guerrero Jr., he's really bounced back strong, as the runner on third gives him something else to worry about, but thus far he's stranded it, and now with 2 outs for Drury, he's prevented the opportunity of a sac fly or a ground out driving in the run. He's making Drury gonna have to beat him with a single to cash in the Jays' potential 7th run of the game.
And Brandon Drury 0 for 2 on the day, a couple strikeouts for him, as Sims tries to go for 3 in a row, but that won't happen, as that one is flowing into center field, and it gets down in front of Peyton, and it bounces off for him over to his right, but he's able to field it quickly and make the play, but not before another run scores. It's an RBI single for Brandon Drury.
Lined right back up the middle. That one was hit so hard it almost hung up enough that Peyton was able to make a play on it. Peyton charging, tries to get it, and it'll fall just at his feet. So a hustle play by Peyton, can't quite pick it up, and Drury, as you mentioned, an RBI single. Yesterday he grounded out in his one appearance versus Sims, but he gets his number today as the Jays now have 7.
Yeah, a real offensive explosion for the Jays in this one. They've looked excellent at the plate. Really all facets of the lineup have been doing a great job. And even a guy like Guerrero Jr., who was 0 for 3 on the day, gets a single in this one. He's now at second. As that pitch misses outside, Jansen in a 1-1 count. He's 1 for 3 on the day.
And what a way to cap off this homestand for the Jays. First time at the Rogers Center in months, and if they take this game, they'll win 6 of 7.
Yeah, and it's so important to start the year strong, especially with a young team like this who needs some confidence. And listen, the schedule's been friendly to them as well. Yes, the Red Sox are a good team, and so are the Reds, but you get an opportunity to, get in a bit of a groove at home. The starting pitching's been good, and listen, they're 6 outs away from going 6-1 to start this season, heading to the Bronx. I mean, you gotta feel great if you're a Jays fan at the moment, but 2-2 count as Jansen swings on that one, and that one's up the middle. We'll see if Guerrero tries to come home. He will. He's gonna test the arm of Peyton. Here's the throw, and it'll be cut off. That one comes in to score, and it's an 8-0 ball game.
So the only 2 Blue Jays on the whole team that got a chance to face off against Sims yesterday and have seen him before, both come through with singles up the middle, RBI singles up the middle to be specific, as the Jays keep pulling ahead further, and now it's 8-0 as Fisher up now with a runner still in scoring position, as Drury's just 2 bases away from scoring.
First and second, 2 away now for Derek Fisher, who's 1 for 3 in this one. He had a double in the second inning.
And even when you talk about how friendly the schedule's been for the Jays, they missed Garrett Cole. He went today in his second start of the season, picked up the loss, so he'll be 1-1 for them. But not having to face Garrett Cole, with Paxton still hurt, you dodge 2 major bullets as you head into the Bronx, and this ride might continue a little bit longer for them.
And a fun ride at that for Blue Jays fans. We hope you enjoy it. You're enjoying it so far on the Virtual Jays Network. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank. It's a 1-2 count to Derek Fisher, who's trying to keep this inning alive. A very productive inning for the Blue Jays. And that one finds the corner. That's a strikeout looking for Fisher, his 3rd of the day. So Sims gets through it, but not before allowing a couple runs. It's an 8-0 ball game as we head to the 8th. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Toronto. Rogers Center, the dome is still closed. It's still a little chilly outside, but I'm sure as the summer goes on, we'll be able to have some nice sunny days here at the Rogers Center, and hopefully some wins as well as we get later into the season. But the Blue Jays have had a great start, and now they're up 8-0 in this one, and they're 6 outs away as Matt Shoemaker goes into his 8th inning of work. He's only at 92 pitches, and now 93 with that first pitch foul ball to Galvis.
And Galvis, this may be one of his last chances to hit in the Rogers Center. Definitely his last one for this season. 1 for 10 so far in this series, trying to get something started here for the Reds. They still have 6 out to play with. This game is definitely not over yet, but they got to get something started quite soon.
And the switch hitting Galvis hits that one over to first. Shaw Fields throws to Shoemaker on the run, and he makes the play. 1 away now.
Shoemaker now. Great start so far. You can see quite a difference between him and what Trevor Bauer did. They both, you can see the 1 walk each, the 4 strikeouts, both pretty low, but the big difference has been that Shoemaker's kept the ball on the ground. 0 earned runs thus far for him compared to all 5 runs scored early that were charged to Bauer. Bauer left the game early. The ace of this rotation has been lit up here tonight, and Shoemaker looking like quite the ace himself on the mound for the Jays.
So far, so good early in this season as that one is flown into center field. Alford takes a couple steps back and makes the play. All of a sudden, 2 up, 2 down here as the number 9 hitter, Phil Irvin, will step up to the plate. He's 0 for 2 in the day.
Irvin now coming up, just trying to do something. We talked about with Galvis, it's just about getting on base at this point, passing the baton. You can stage a comeback at any point in the baseball game. There's no clock, but as you run out of outs, it's just about getting these base runners.
And Shoemaker, what an outing for him as he's just 1 out away from going through 8 strong with potentially 0 allowed. I don't want to jinx him as that one misses outside. It's a hitter's count to Irvin. But, you know, great outing for Shoemaker, but even more important, the bullpen stays fresh for the Jays.
Yep, they take the road trip to New York tonight, and then they play the very next day. A 4 o'clock start today, followed by a 1 o'clock start tomorrow.
As that one's full into center, Alfred is there to make the play, and we'll head to the bottom of the 9th. Alfred at the plate up next. And welcome back on the Virtual Jays Network. We hope you've enjoyed this game so far, and if you're a Blue Jays fan, you certainly have. It's an 8-0 ball game. Anthony Alford, he's had a pretty good game as well, and he's at the plate now. He's made a couple big defensive plays. He looked great in the field. He had a double in the 4th, and he's in a 1-1 count now to start things off in the 8th.
And if he can perform, what he's shown so far is he allows Montoyo to have some options with his lineup.
As that one is hit over into right center field, and he'll get another single. So he's got 2 RBIs and a double on the day, and now he's got a single. So Alfred looking great in this one.
And we mentioned briefly at the end of the last inning before it came to an end, with an afternoon game tomorrow followed by 2 more on the weekend after playing here tonight, the Jays are going to need every chance they can get to rotate players in and out of the lineup, rest up the bats, rest up the bullpen, which Shoemaker's been able to help the Jays do so far here. But guys like Panic that have been looking pretty good so far. You can see 4 for 10 for Panic, or guys like Alford, who's now reached base twice. That just means that guys today, for example, Grichuk gets a day off his feet, Biggio gets a day off his feet, Bichette, and this rotation, if they can still win games while they're benching their star players to keep their legs fresh, then this team might be set up to do a little bit more than they were expected to this season.
Still very early, but you're going to start riots here in Toronto with that kind of talk, Drew, the way they crave a championship. But, of course, yeah, I mean, great start for the Blue Jays. And, again, with a young team, getting that hot start, as I talked about earlier, is very important for confidence. And a 2-1 count out of Panic as he drives that one into right center field. It'll drop down. Peyton can't field it cleanly, and Alford, with his speed, will advance to third. And then that throw actually misses Votto, goes to the plate, but 0-out single for Joe Panic here.
And that's what Panic will offer you. He's not gonna hit too many balls deep to the warning tracks, but those balls that drop in front there, that's exactly what a guy like that needs to do to just get on base.
So a couple singles to start things off in the 8th. Chase, Sims, and now Raisel Iglesias will come in, the former closer for the Reds. He's been relegated to more of a 7th inning, 8th inning role this season. But now, all of a sudden, he's got first and third, none out in an 8-0 ball game. He's got the 2-3-4 hitters coming up. And Gurriel, by the way, has looked magnificent today.
Well, just on touching on Iglesias, I have no idea why he's in this game right now, because he's a very valuable piece in their pen. They're down 8, and they've got all sorts of arms we haven't seen yet all season. And I'm not sure why they're going to him already. You know, Stevenson was up, but he didn't end up coming into this game. They chose Iglesias. They go into a series against a divisional rival in Pittsburgh starting tomorrow, and I don't get this decision to burn a guy like Iglesias in a game where you're already trailing by 8 with only 3 outs left to play.
As Gurriel Jr. drives that 0-2 offering into deep left center, but Peyton is there to make the play. And he throws quickly, but not before Alfred is able to tag at third and come in to score. It's a 9-0 ball game.
A nice RBI there on the sac fly for Gurriel. Adds to what you were already saying about a great day for him. 3 for 4. Just the 1 out was a strikeout, but aside from that, he scored 3 runs, and now he's driven in 1 more.
As Vladimir Guerrero Jr. steps to the plate, and he'll face Iglesias here with 1 on and 1 out. As Joe Panic is at first. And Vlad Guerrero Jr., as I mentioned, 1 for 4 in the day. He had a single in his last at-bat. He drills that one over to short. Galvis makes the play to second and to first for the double play. So Iglesias escapes the 8th, but not before allowing 1 run. It's a 9-0 ball game. And it's closing time here in Toronto. Well, everyone, and welcome back to the Rogers Center as we head to the 9th. And it'll be Thomas Pannone, the lefty, making his 2nd appearance of the season.
Well, it's the first game that it's not a save situation in the 9th. The only game that they've had more than 3-run separation here to end it. And of their 5 wins, 4 of them were saved by Giles, 1 of them saved by Anthony Bass, and now it'll be Pannone here to relieve Shoemaker after 8 phenomenal innings of work from him.
Yeah, Shoemaker with just an excellent start to add to. I mean, he's got 2 starts now this season, Drew, and he's looked magnificent in both. People are going to start talking in this market about, what the year could hold for a guy like Shoemaker. As Peyton takes that one in, and it's a 1-1 count now.
Shoemaker, between his 2 starts, 15 1/3 innings pitched, 0 runs, only 7 hits.
Wow, so a magnificent start, as I mentioned, for Shoemaker. And now Thomas Pannone will try to finish things off here and keep the shutout alive. It's a 2-2 count to Peyton now at the plate, who's 1 for 3 on the day.
Montoya used Pannone in the first series against Boston to come in and face 3 lefties in a row out of the pen. It was Bradley Jr., Benintendi, and Devers, and here he'll get 3 lefties in the form of Peyton, Winker, and Votto.
Yeah, and Peyton trying to get something started for the Reds here in the leadoff hole for them today as he grounds that one over to the third base side, and it remains a 2-2 count.
Peyton stumbled in the fields a couple times now. 2 balls they failed to field cleanly, and one where he took a bad route, and now allowing Fisher to reach second on the double, and the strikeout here just finishes off what was a tough day for him.
Yeah, not a tough day for Matt Shoemaker, who in 99 pitches goes 8 strong, just 4 hits, 2 strikeouts, and just 1 walk and 0 earned. What an outing for him.
And he stays under 100 pitches through the 8 innings. Just a testament to how concise he was keeping his at-bats. A little bit later in the game, they started to battle against him, but through innings 4, 5, 6, he was very effective, getting a lot of ground balls, not a lot of balls hit too hard at all, and overall a great outing from him today.
And here's Jesse Winker, the DH, takes a pitch low in the dirt for ball number 1. It's a 1-1 count as fans are starting to leave here at the Rogers Center and go catch a go train. This one ain't over yet, especially with a superstar Canadian hitter on deck, but nonetheless, actually, this one is kind of over, Drew, I'll be honest with you.
Well, you mentioned right there about Joey Votto. That's what you'd stay here for any fans from the Toronto area. Potentially Votto's last appearance here in the Rogers Center, depending on how things go in the schedule over the next couple of years.
As Winker flies out to shallow right field, Panic ranges back and makes the play. 2 away. And now Joey Votto potentially, and I'm going to use the word potentially, makes his final at-bat of his career in Toronto.
Well, interleague schedule can be all over the place. The Jays had a stretch with the Cubs where they didn't play in Wrigley for 11 years, and it was just a really weird scheduling just quirk about how interleague games can get mixed and matched like that. So it basically just comes down to you don't know, and there's a chance it very well could be.
As Votto takes a first pitch strike from Pannone. And where does Votto rank for you in terms of all-time Canadian baseball talent?
I think it's tough to compare him and Larry Walker as the 2 top dogs, with Fergie Jenkins right there, both 2 named Hall of Famers, and Votto's, I think he's pretty well on his way to a Hall of Fame career himself. I'm not sure if you agree with that one or not.
Well, I think a couple things need to happen. I think he needs to hit 300 home runs, which he will this season. As he drives that one into deep right field, will we see one here? No, in fact, as Alfred makes the play, but in terms of a home run talk, we will see about Joey Votto. But one thing we do know is that the Toronto Blue Jays are 6-1 to start their season after a 9-0 win in this third and final series of this interleague matchup between the Reds and the Blue Jays. What a game for Toronto here.
And looking at this series as a whole, we talked about the damage that Cincinnati can do with their bats. The takeaway for me is the fact that the Jays have pitched They've pitched 21 consecutive scoreless innings against the Reds to finish out this series. A shutout yesterday started by Ryu, and a shutout tonight started by Shoemaker, in addition to a clean 7-8-9 from Font in the first game of the series. And the pitching, just stunning this series.
No kidding. Matt Shoemaker, Hyunjin Ryu, even Trent Thornton was good to start game 1. The wheels kind of fell off a bit later, but the 2 big dogs for the Blue Jays in the form of Ryu and Shoemaker, both delivering excellent starts. But Shoemaker, easily, I think, the best performance from a starting pitcher for the Blue Jays we've seen through 7 games here to start the season.
And that's by a decent margin. He was flawless. We see only 2 strikeouts, but that's because he wasn't allowing very much hard contact. So he was able to live in the zone, missing a lot of bats, missing a lot of barrels, and just keeping the ball on the ground, soft contact. You don't need the swing and miss all the time if you can keep the batters off balance. And even if they're fouling pitches off and grounding balls all over the place, you don't have to strike them out. And we saw that here tonight from Matt Shoemaker.
And the defense behind Matt Shoemaker was excellent tonight as well. Fielded a couple double plays and some great displays in the outfield as well. Hernandez had a nice catch. And Trevor Bauer gets lit up a little bit. Now, he had 4 strikeouts, but 5 earned, a walk, 6 hits in just 3 2/3. In terms of this Jays lineup, Drew, what stood out for you today?
For me, it was the bottom of the order that was able to produce, as they have pretty much this whole homestand. Anthony Alford picked up 2 RBIs, a double, and a single late in the game. Maybe a flash of something there. And the defense, you talked about what he was able to provide in the field. Fisher did the same thing. Jansen added 2 more hits to what's been a great season to start for him. And of course, a big home run from Teoscar Hernandez to get things started. And if Shoemaker didn't pitch quite so well, you could make a player of the game candidate. Sorry, you can make a case for player of the game for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. 3 for 4. He scored in all 3 times he got a hit, a double, an RBI, and just a very well-rounded game in addition to a nice clean game at shortstop.
Yeah, very good game for Gurriel Jr., an excellent day for Hernandez as well, who had that big 3-run homer in the first, kind of set the tone for this one. But that'll wrap things up for us here tonight on the Virtual Jays Network. We're glad you joined us to see the third game of this rubber match. The Blue Jays are 6-1 to start the season. They head to New York next. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m., so an early afternoon game. It's the Yankees Home Opener. Tanner Roark takes on Masahiro Tanaka, and this Blue Jays team looks to stay hot.
Well, moving into the Bronx to start the next series, it'll be interesting to see if they can neutralize those bats because they've got some big ones there. They're missing Judge and they're missing Stanton, but the rest of the lineup can still hit. They've got Aguilar, who's a bat that's bouncing back from injury. Of course, Gary Sanchez is still there, and they've got all these pieces and a great rotation, a great bullpen, favorites in the American League, and it's going to be a tough matchup for them as they head there for a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday series that we talked about. An interesting piece of scheduling.
For Jackson Farough and Drew Frank, thank you so much for joining us today on the Virtual Jays Network. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow in the Bronx.